I'm rapidly falling out of love with football.
What the hell is even the point, bro? I thought that this football business was supposed to provide me joy, but it doesn't. It provides me depression every single week. I even sat and tried to watch American football, fam. They done up Mikel Arteta Haramble for the first 3 quarters. Where's the enjoyment? I think I'm cashing out on the slot machine, like right now. I think this is the final straw. Even though it wasn't like systematically his fault, it's getting too much now. Because let's look at the wider picture. We are level on points with Brentford. We are 2 points clear of Everton. We are literally chatting to Fulham and Brighton and Denman. Not that I have a problem with those teams because they're doing well, but they've had their own trials and tribulations, and we spent so much money. We actually stink. And the latest step towards a hopeful Arne Slot arrest warrant comes in the form of a 2-1 defeat to Manchester City at Anfield. Of course, a Man City side that are sat second in the league. These aren't, you know, a group of dickheads, but it's basically unheard of given their recent record at our ground. The way in which we played in the first half was concerning, and despite improving in the second half, we managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory with the most chaotic last 5 minutes of a match probably this entire season. It's 8 losses for this campaign already, and we only suffered 4 in the entirety of last year. In this video, I'm genuinely going to be posing the question, are Liverpool the worst Premier League title holders of all time? And some of the stats that I'm going to tell you in this one, they might just prove it. 6,000 likes on this video, you'll get Narin here even more depressed because I'll make a video about Manchester United actually being good. Fucking hell, I hate football right now. Genuinely, guys. Croquet this week has never looked more appealing. No, how titillatingly tumultuous. So picture the scene. It's a Liverpool football match in the 25-26 campaign, which means Arne Slot is doing the absolute bare minimum to try and actually win it. Like, I'm being so deadly serious. Our first half was just, I mean, it was the same as always. Very slow-paced, not very intense, not looking to try and go out and win the game by force. I mean, we got absolutely dominated by Manchester City. Don't get it twisted, they weren't amazing either. You know, the last couple of months, Man City have looked very shaky. They've been struggling, obviously, with defensive injuries. They haven't looked the same even going forward either. Erling Haaland put a bet on Igor Thiago to be the Golden Boot winner at some point during January, and so he's decided to sack off goal scoring. But the second half was sensational entertainment in comparison, and Liverpool, like, we had chance after chance. We looked significantly better. We were actually taking the game to our opponent. A new discovery from Arne Slot during the halftime break. Hugo Ekitike missed a sitter. Florian Wirtz should have probably scored 2. So, of course, with our entire attack force going on strike, it was once again down to makeshift right back Dominik Szoboszlai to slap in a screamer of a free kick from 30 yards. I honestly believe we'd be in the championship already if it wasn't for him. Like, they would have relegated us mid-season. Genuinely, get him in team of the season. He's obviously guaranteed to be our player of the season already. And the goal of the season vote, not a single other soul is getting in it.
They're all of me.
But of course, this is Liverpool, so even against the side that turned into type 2 diabetics in the second half, we found ourselves conceding to Bernardo Silva. In fairness, kind of unlucky with a deflected strike. There wasn't a crazy amount we could do about this. It was like the one time that Haaland was in a 1v1 aerial duel against Ibrahima Konate. But then Alisson Becker, listen, Alisson Broski, yeah, I'm gonna go fucking insane. This man has quite literally saved us on multiple different occasions, right? You're never gonna catch me hating Alisson. He's literally scored a goal that got us Champions League football as a goalie. Yeah, you never do them things there. But what you also never do is charge out at, was it Ryan Ait-Nouri or Mateus Nunes? I can't even remember, fam. By the way, there's like 4 players for Man City that look the same. And I don't know if I'm gonna be cancelled for that one because it's not a race thing.
Is that a colour thing?
Maybe you could throw me into the mix. Maybe I look like Ait-Nouri, but Ait-Nouri, Mateus Nunes, Ryan Cherki, they got the same vibes, just at the very least. That's all. Anyway, that's not the point. All I know is Dominik Szoboszlai is getting Alisson a very suspicious package for his birthday after costing him the glory of getting another winning free kick screamer. I don't know where Arne Slot held wide down. Like, he held triangle down by accident. Keepers come steaming out, absolutely clamped the City forward, and Erling Haaland has an opportunity to win City the game with a pen in the 93rd minute, which he does. And I'm here sat thinking, why didn't I start playing tennis as a child? I've just been followed, by the way, on Twitch by AFC_Guna_TV, who let Maxwell have a second Twitch account. What you don't realise is there's straight vodka in this. And look, listen, as I said, I don't think directly the manner in which we lost the game can be attributed to Arne Slot in this situation. Like I said, the equaliser was just them putting pressure on, an unfortunate deflected cross that then fell after a nod down from Haaland, which was a good head, whoa, it was good head, whoa, pause on that one. A good nod down from Erling Haaland to Bernardo Silva. Szoboszlai actually kept him on side, but again, it's a hard situation to predict. It's one of them things. And then obviously it's just a personal lapse of any sort of brain capacity from Alisson to lose us the game. But I'm sorry, I can't allow certain things to just happen and not have consequences. Obviously, the way we played in the first half is directly down to Slot. But this man kept Cody Gakpo on the pitch until about 3.5 minutes to the end. Broski, I swear to God, I will elbow Arne Slot's uncle differently if I see this man play another full 90 minutes again against Sunderland. What does he... fam, I can't do it. Because the thing is, right, it's not even as if he's an absolute 1 out of 10 every game. Honestly, I reckon 75% of attacks that you argue Liverpool were a bit too slow or passive there, at some point they fed through Cody Gakpo. And that's the reason why it was slow and passive. Not only does he not have that urgency that you need in a Liverpool attack force when we're countering or whatever, he does the same thing every single... I can't do it, guys. No, genuinely. Hold me back. I swear down, I can't. And for that reason alone, Arne Slot is the biggest threat to world peace in this entire universe. And that's saying a lot, because there's a couple threats right now that are not looking good. And look, where does that leave us? It leaves us 6th in the league, 4 points behind Chelsea and Manchester United, I'm pretty sure. Chelsea and Manchester United actually look good. I mean, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, like in a second. But guys, honestly, these are the teams we're going to end up against in the Conference League next season. Verts, Ekatike, Isak and Salah, bro, against window cleaners from Armenia. This is going to be completely unfair. On Verts, Ekatike, Salah and Isak, bro, I've seen FC Noah. They've got a couple goals in the chamber. We will lose that as well. As I said, I do fear Alisson might have been doing a little bit of match fixing at points in this one. The penalty is crazy. He then decided to spend the last 4 minutes of the game in central midfield. Meanwhile, Gianluigi Donnarumma was ruining my life yet again for no apparent reason up the other end, with an insane save in the final minute to deny Alexis McAllister. But of course, as Alisson was writing up his CV to become the next Curtis Jones, Ryan Shirky picked up the ball and slapped it from distance. With the ball ready to dribble over the goal line, Dominik Szoboszlai pulled back Erling Haaland to ensure he couldn't get on the end of it. He got ahead of his former Red Bull Salzburg teammate, and then Haaland pulled him back, and the ball dribbled across the line anyway. The police have just gone past, by the way. They're arresting Arne Slot. They've got a long drive. I don't know why they started in London and they're going up to... Now, this, of course, was pandemonium. Man City players were celebrating. It was one of the most dramatic ends to a game of the season so far. It was also just one of them crazy, hectic, chaotic moments. But it turns out Dominik Szoboszlai's click celebration was him Thanos snapping himself out of his existence. Because after VAR hadn't been discussed for about 14 minutes, they got in there and made it about themselves, calling back everything, cancelling out the goal and instead giving Dominik Szoboszlai a red card instead, with a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. A denial of a goal-scoring opportunity that Manchester City scored. Turns out Szoboszlai giveth and he taketh away. He could be seen walking past the VAR room contemplating acts of domestic terrorism as he stared at the VAR official. Erling Haaland, who was actually pulled back in this scenario, was quoted as saying it was basically unfair on Dominik and that they would have rather just taken the goal. Szoboszlai gets to continue playing because ultimately an advantage, I guess, gets given when Dominik pulls back and the goal goes in anyway. The VAR decision ruined absolutely everything. VAR just interfering for the sake of it. And look, listen, if you like Excel spreadsheets and you like following rule books and guidelines, which of course is in fairness what football really officiating is of course all about, right? Then you're gonna love this decision because it's a combination of rules that we've actually never seen before in the beautiful game, which maybe gets referees rock hard, but for anybody else who just likes watching football, this is ridiculous. And of course you can't pick and choose when you administer VAR. We've already gone way too far past that point. point at this stage already. But it did feel like, you know, I mean, okay, the official ruling is basically Szoboszlai's pulled back Haaland, right? So now Manchester City have an advantage. But as soon as Haaland then fouls Szoboszlai back, that advantage then ends, so it has to be called back. But I don't know, I feel like just given the context that like some level of common sense had to prevail there. I don't know, I just like, also it's the final 35 seconds of the game. Quite literally, nobody gives a fuck. Like, we're gonna lose. It's a wrap. I genuinely would have rather just conceded the extra goal but had Szoboszlai next week. They've managed to make the one decision that benefits literally nobody in the entire stadium. Apart from the referee, because he gets to have his voice heard by the entire stadium. And we've got Sunderland away next. Yeah, safe. All right, cool. Without Dominic Szoboszlai. Yeah, all right, cool, safe. Yeah. I'll catch you on in midweek. We'll do another one of these, yeah? So the VAR decision was rough at the end. You know, it's just another catalogue of errors from ourselves. I don't even necessarily mean the officiating, but it was, I think what frustrates me is it was just boring to see VAR take a grasp of yet another cool and, well, not for me, but for the neutral, like chaotic and crazy scenario, and the rhetoric has to be VAR again after. Either way, what really pushed me over the edge was Erling Haaland pushing Pep Lijnders, of course, Man City's new assistant manager, over to the Kop. The Kop, of course, where Pep used to be our assistant. That actually made me want to top myself. Like, that might have been worse than the result. You were the chosen one, man. Please come, please. So what about our performance? Look, listen. The first half, as I said, was a catastrophe. There was a stat at one point where the amount of passes in the final third was 31-1 in favour of Manchester City. Like, we just weren't getting the ball forward, progressing it into even remotely dangerous areas. We were far too passive. We just kind of sat back, which is interesting because that hasn't worked in recent weeks. I don't know why we carry on doing it. Manchester City, as I said, weren't incredible, but they absolutely dominated us and dominated the game. But then City had their customary lines of ketamine at half-time and came out a completely different team, a significantly worse one after the break. So we got back into the game. You know, I think it was pretty disappointing really to not put our chances away like we should have done. Hugo Ekitike must have a head shaped like a 50p coin. The kid's been absolutely amazing this season, but I don't understand how he missed that header from that Mo Salah Trivela, which put it on a plate for him. I thought Mo Salah was pretty woeful again in this game, but at least that opportunity, like, he should have had an assist realistically. But I think overall we did actually perform pretty well in the second half. Individually, not everybody, but as a team, I thought we looked a lot more convincing when we actually went to try and chase and go and grab the game in a positive way. We were wasteful until Dominic Szoboszlai's rocket yet again. That free kick was an absolute joke. He's so fake. Like, he's just so clearly our best player. I've seen people talking about Szoboszlai. I know that people obviously don't watch Liverpool play and like every week unless they're a Liverpool fan, and that's totally fair. I get that. I'm not sat here watching Chelsea every week because I don't need to. I try when I'm available and I'll watch maybe half of their games, but I may come to a different conclusion about Cole Palmer, for example, than a Chelsea fan does, and that's understandable, but you have to understand, Dominic Szoboszlai does not deserve the rest of this team. The only one that can really light a candle to his performances is probably Hugo Ekitike, given he's new to the league and the amount of goals that he's been involved in, and also his link-up play is just amazing. There was a little flick that he did for a Florian Wirtz chance that Florian should have done better with. That was absolutely insane. He's just beautiful to watch. I thought Florian Wirtz struggled a little bit in this game. I've been a big advocate of him in the last couple of months because he has been a lot better, but he couldn't get into the game here, I don't think. So I don't think overall it was the worst performance in the world. But like, you know, Manchester City have been bad in second halves. They've been good in first halves and bad in second halves recently, and we were dominated by them in the first half and significantly better than them probably in the second half. So what does that even really show about us? That's you know, I mean, that's pretty much the same as what Tottenham brought out against them. And Tottenham are 18th in the form table in the last 20 matches. Speaking of which, and it's time to get into the stats here, because out of our last 20 games, our last 20 Premier League games, we have got 6 wins, 6 draws, and 8 defeats. That comes together for a total of 24 points in our last 20 Premier League games, which is shocking. Has us 12th in the form table for that period, which I know is quite a specific stat, like quite a specific time period. Try and like maybe fit an agenda or whatever, because we did start the season well in terms of results, even if the performances were a little bit concerning and maybe a sign of things to come. But 20 game weeks, I'm not being like, oh yeah, we're 18th in the form table from like game week 8 to game week 12, like, no, 20 game weeks is a long time. That's a long period of time. We're talking like 4 months, right? 3.5 months at least. The last 3.5 to 4 months, we are 12th in the form table. To put it into perspective, that's 8 defeats in 20 league games. We only lost 4 times all season last year, and at least half of those we went on holiday at the end of the season after winning the league. But on top of that, we often lambast Roy Hodgson's time in charge. It was fucking appalling. It was terrible. It was a truly terrible time to be a Liverpool fan. That sort of Kenny Dalglish into Roy Hodgson era. A lot of it was because of the players and the recruitment. The squad was, I mean, catastrophic. Do yourselves a favor, yeah? After this video, search Liverpool squad 2011. You'll just start creasing. You'll just start busting up. In fact, not even 2011, 2010. Do 2010. Because there was the trenches, guys. I'm walking around seeing Jay Spearing, Kyriakos, Milan Jovanovic, Paul Konchesky, Donny, all in the same team. I don't think you understand how that affects a man's mental health. Anyway, sorry, that's not the point. But in Roy Hodgson's 20 league games total in charge of Liverpool, he accrued 7 wins, 4 draws, and 9 losses for 25 points. So we are doing worse collectively over the last 20 games than probably the worst managerial appointment of this entire century so far. I'm still just overall concerned about our lack of intensity. We seem to just have games wash over us a little bit when we're playing against the bigger sides. Fam, could you imagine Jurgen Klopp in charge of a Liverpool team and we go Man City and we've had 1 pass in the final third in the first 40 minutes of the game? We're getting like brushed aside in halves of football by teams like Arsenal that just want it more. It never happened. We'd lose games, yeah, but it was never because of that. It was never because we weren't positive enough. It wasn't because we weren't trying. It wasn't because our attack was as blunt as the side of a Pringles can. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, this is bad. What happened to Anfield being a fortress? What happened to that Virgil van Dijk record where only Leeds had beaten him at home? Like Crescencio Somerville goal. That was the only time he'd lost in the league with Liverpool. This place isn't a fortress anymore. We've already lost to Forest, United, City, PSV at home. And then we've drawn to the likes of Fulham, Sunderland, Burnley and Leeds. And we've got that record where we've actually failed to beat any of the promoted teams at home. Fam! I know the promoted teams are a bit better pound for pound this campaign, but that's not an excuse. At the end of the day, we've spent 4.7 quadrillion shillings on players this season, and we're level on points with Brentford. That's a side that lost both of their top goal scorers last season, their captain, their goalkeeper, and their manager, all in the same transfer window. Their current gaffer was deciding where Ethan Pinnock should stand from set pieces last season, and we're level on points with them. He's doing an amazing job. Brentford are doing an amazing job, and they've got a great goal scorer up front in Igor Thiago yet. But with the amount of money, we cannot be there. There is an actual chance that we don't finish in the Champions League spots after all that we have spent. And the Champions League spots go down to 5th these days for the Premier League. Like, realistically, we probably will get that coefficient spot, yeah? And we're still probably not going to finish there. Manchester United are above us in great form. Fair play to Michael Carrick. He's turned things around for them. And as I said, if this video gets 6,000 likes, you'll get a video about them too. Chelsea, yes, they're ADHD and overstimulation in football club form, but they are better than us at the moment. They look better than us. They're performing individually better than us this season. Wolves have allowed Cole Palmer to unlock himself now, so he's actually arrived for the season. I've said so many times this season, it has come to our inability to properly squad build, to just go out and get big names. And at the start of the season, I was missold PPI. I went along with the dream. I said, what we signed, Ekatike, Verts, and Isak, firepower over everything else. Is the defense a shambles? Probably. Do we have a defensive midfielder yet? Absolutely not. Is there any depth on the bench? Not even slightly. But they will get us out of trouble. And in fairness, Ekatike has, but Isak and Verts haven't been able to consistently. I mean, fuck it. No, Robbie, and the amount of times I've said this season, we don't have a defensive midfielder, and it shows. We cannot deal with transitions. The amount of times I've said this, we need a defensive midfielder that's job is just to crash people. And it worked last season, not really having that guy and it being Gravenberch, because the defense behind him was a better unit. It was a back four. It's a back four now still, but it was a better defensive unit. It made more sense. I think we signed players this season with the intention of trying maybe a back five or a back three with wing backs. That's the only explanation for replacing Trent Alexander-Arnold for Jeremy Frimpong. And also, I think Kirkes would be pretty good in a five as well. I think they would both excel as wing backs rather than full backs in a four. But because we're not doing that, because we didn't sign Gahey, we can't even put together 2 centre backs, let alone 3. So we've obviously had to play a back four. Our back four is nowhere near as stable. Trent Alexander-Arnold wasn't great in 1v1s, but at least it made a bit more sense at at right back than Jeremy Frimpong, who, let's be honest, is a right winger at heart. Kirkes isn't as defensively sound as Andrew Robertson in his peak. Konate and Van Dijk just haven't been as good this season. Konate's been making a lot of errors. Van Dijk has made some uncharacteristic errors as well. And that means that you can't get away with that six that isn't just going to go and crash people and tackle people all day. I've said it at points this season. I genuinely think we should trial Wataru Endo as a DM. Just one game. But Arne Slot is unwilling to change things. It's why Federico Chiesa and Rio Ungamoa have a combined minutes tally of 10 per month. Because Cody Gakpo is sat doing the same skill move on the left-hand side all season long. He doesn't try new things. Yes, we have a bit of an injury crisis. Well, I wouldn't even say an injury crisis. We've got injuries, especially defensively. We've been struggling defensively, right? It's why we've got Szoboszlai playing at right back. But again, with the money that we've spent, we shouldn't have a bench that's just children and people that aren't going to affect the game. The amount of times I'm looking at our bench, we've got 2 goalkeepers on it. We have absolutely no depth, and for a side that spent that much money, that is ridiculous, because we sacrificed all of our depth to bring in 3 massive signings. We sold Kwanzaa, we sold Diaz, we sold Nunes, we loaned Simicas, we loaned Harvey Elliott. We were even close to getting rid of Curtis Jones in January. Would we have replaced him? No. Who would have been our backup central midfielder in that situation? If we're playing Szoboszlai at right back, we literally just wouldn't have one. It's genuinely crazy and genuinely insane. We've got Cody Gakpo stinking at the left-hand side, and Luis Diaz is off scoring hat-tricks for Bayern Munich. And that lack of bench is also meaning that we can't sustain full 90 minutes of impressive football. We have conceded the joint most, like, 90th minute winners of any team in Premier League history. Just take that in. No team has conceded more goals in the 90th minute to lose a match than we have, and it is the start of February. There's still 3 months of this fucking shit to go, and we're already at 4. And the rest of the teams on this list, a lot of them were getting relegated in those seasons. Virgil van Dijk is way too high in numerical statistics for the season, like clearances and blocks and stuff. Our defense is having to do too much because we are far too open. It is so easy to see, but this board is sexually attracted to bald people, so it's not going to change anytime soon. I don't think we're going to finish in the Champions League spots the way we are playing, and that is an absolute catastrophe as reigning champions, having spent as much as we did and brought in the talent that we did. But again, squad planning, failures tactically to actually, you know, suit the players that we have at our disposal, and, you know, individual performances that haven't been good enough as well from certain players. We can't let them get away with it too, is combining to make a truly catastrophic season. And look, things can change. We're 4 points off 5th, all right? It's not like, you know, at the end of the day, it's woe is me. I'm a Liverpool fan. You know, it's still good in the grand scheme of the footballing world. But if we want to be challenging for, you know, trophies and silverware again, we have got to fix up differently or make a change. What do you make of Liverpool's season, though, Liverpool fans and otherwise? Drop it down in the comment section, because I am about to give up on everything. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. It really does help me out. Get this video to 6,000 likes. That helps out as well in me not feeling depressed. Honestly, guys, it hasn't been a pleasure at all ranting at you guys today. I'm dipping. The sunglasses are going back on, man. I'm not even having this, fam. Fuck this bullshit.